Hey, it's Sam, and I'm making a quick but important update about the transit of Mars into the sign of Cancer from May 10th to June 30th. It's going to be a time to manage our emotional frustrations with all the while staying disciplined. Mars is about that discipline to do the things that we know are hard but are rewarding. That's what leads to true strength. When it's in Cancer, instead of staying disciplined, we become quite emotional about all the hard work, about all the courage, and our emotional frustrations tend to get us lashing out at others and other things like this. So we want to be careful with emotional frustrations boiling over into our friendships and relationships between May 10th and June 30th and keep fighting the good fight. And again, fighting the good fight is what Mars is about. Think of some of the newest trends like in fitness and whatnot. One of the big ones is ice baths, right? Think of that. Think of the ice bath, right? You're persevering through the difficulty in order to make yourself strong. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is about cold, ice. If there's anything that summarizes an ice bath, it's like Mars in Capricorn. This shows the exaltation of Mars, the courage to do the thing that's very hard, but that makes us strong in the end. And literally, even like ice or cold is Saturn and Capricorn, right? So this is a great archetype for what an exalted Mars is about, because I know it's going to be hard. I know I'm not going to feel good about it, which is the emotions. But even though I'm not going to feel good about it, it's going to make me strong, it's going to make me healthier, and it's going to prove to me mentally that I can do things that are hard. The opposite of that is, for example, Mars in Cancer, where we shrink from the challenges, where because we're afraid we're not going to feel good doing the thing, we avoid doing it. So then we become undisciplined, and then we get frustrated, and what we tend to do is then project that weakness, that inability to show up and fight the good fight, which is basically fighting our own weaknesses. And we project that onto the other people. Like, oh, you were mean to me. You did this to me. I'm a victim, and now I'm mad at you, and I'm frustrated at you. This is an archetype of the debilitated Mars. Now, again, if it's in your chart, it's a lot more complicated than that. For example, someone like Michael Jordan has debilitated Mars. Serena Williams, the great tennis player, also has debilitated Mars. So it's a complicated thing in a natal chart. I'm not talking about that because there's things like Nichabanga and other things. But when it goes through the sky, this is a influence that we're all under. Excuse me. We're all being influenced by Mars going through Cancer from May 10th to June 30th. So it'll be a collective type of sort of emotional babying time. So be aware of others in your life, perhaps shrinking from the challenges, again, excuse me, and perhaps projecting onto you their their weaknesses and their perceived slights of what you did to them. Obviously, watch yourself doing it also, and instead be willing to, take that ice bath and look at yourself and show up for the things that are emotionally difficult but that make you strong. And by the way, this is a great remedy for things like a debilitated planet. Act as though the planet is exalted. This is always what you wind up doing. For all the remedies of the planet, you always take the exalted position as the spiritual practice. And with Mars, it's very clear. What we're not supposed to do with Mars is react emotionally based on our frustrations. We're going to get frustrated. We need to be careful to not react emotionally in all circumstances, not just now. And that react emotionally is the archetype of debilitated Mars. What we're supposed to do with Mars energy is slow down, be cool, be calm, be strategic, be willing to focus on the long game and winning the war, not, quote, winning the battle, because it might even feel like we're winning the battle, but we're losing the war. It might feel good to vent and dump your frustrations on someone else or something like that, but ultimately you're losing the war. And again, it's very hard to hold that Mars energy. That's why we vent it. That's why we dump it, because it's hard to sit there with it and allow that fire to be turned inward that inner fire, like with the ice bath. By the way, if you've ever done an ice bath or a really cold water plunge, it feels like you're going to die at first, but then your body gets used to it. You get used to it. It's still, you still can't wait for it to end, but you get used to it at a certain point, and then you stop asking the question, am I going to like this while it's happening? And instead you ask the question, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? And that's what Mars is actually there to do, to give us a recognition of what's the right thing to do, and then to do it, because that's what's hard. We all know what's the right thing to do. We actually do know what's the right thing to do. Do our meditation, get up earlier, eat the right food, not indulge. But do we do that thing? Are we willing to suffer for our principles? Are we willing? And we don't have to do it all the time. We only have to do it a little bit. And if we do it a little bit, if we're willing to suffer in the moment and be introspective and not react, and then we build a lot of momentum. And then we learn to not just react emotionally to others. And then that fire of anger that comes our way when we don't react in kind, it becomes internalized and it burns up that negative karma that we have with our anger. So this is a great opportunity for the next, 40 days, 20, 30, 50 days or so, to transform this sort of emotional babying that we have inside, and that undisciplined sort of baby that we have inside, into an adult courageous enough to, walk the talk, fight the good fight, do our spiritual practices, not just right now or, not just once in a while, but all the time. Again, that's why Mars has its exaltation point in Capricorn, because anyone can meditate once in a while or do the right thing once in a while, but do we do it all the time? Do we do it, day after day? That's the exaltation quality of Mars, right? So when it's in Cancer, we might do it once in a while, then, I don't feel like it now, then I feel like it, and then I don't. That's the undisciplined part, which brings the Mars energy down. So keep that in mind for the next 50 days. For a limited time, I'm offering 10 hours of masterclasses, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, Quantum Vedic Astrology, and Spiritual Astrology Masterclass. These are 3 great courses that will really help you a lot. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I taught the AstroVed certification course, Dattatreya Shiva Baba, in 2010. Ravi Shankar published my book in 2018. I've been around for decades. I've been teaching these great classes, and if you go to VedicAstrologyEssentials.com, you can get this 90% off discount of these 3 great classes, more than 10 hours, guaranteed value. You can check this out. These 3 classes will give you all the necessary tools to begin to learn Vedic astrology. Please find me on YouTube at Sam Jeppy, Vedic Astrology Teacher. On there since 2007, thousands of hours of classes. Also on Facebook at Astrology Teacher, tons of articles updated regularly, and I'm on Instagram at Vedic Astrology 108, ongoing updates and interaction.